Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to GNR Central. And today I want to talk about something that maybe you guys haven't heard before and focus a story on something that I would call the Chinese democracy lineup. So back when Bumblefoot was doing a lot of interviews, just shortly after leaving Guns N' Roses, he hinted that a lot of people in the band did not treat him well, but he did say that Axl treated him quite well. So in a June 17th, 2015 article, he talked about how he was basically hazed by the band. So basically, Bumblefoot was doing his best not to comment on his relationship with Guns N' Roses at the time, but it's tempting to read between the lines in the few comments he made about the band, about his time in the band. So the subject came up again during a recent interview in rock.about.com when Bumblefoot Tall was asked to comment on rumors that he encountered some less than friendly treatment when he joined Guns N' Roses lineup in 2006 and had to be a little violent in order to assert his position. Insisting that he doesn't want to get into dirt and all that negative crap, he then proceeded to admit that he may never really felt like a part of the GNR family. He said, "I think it was just more of a situation like a new family member was brought home without the other siblings' consent or to their surprise," laughed Bumblefoot. "It was like, who the F is this guy?" So it took a good minute for us to get to know each other. I don't know if we ever really got to know each other, to be honest. I feel like the environment I was in never gave me a chance to just be comfortably myself and not feel guarded. But that's just me, and that's just the way the pieces fell, you know. So shortly after his departure, he talked a lot more about his time in the band. As the years went on, he didn't really want to talk too much about GNR. So in 2014, he told Ultimate Guitar, basically Guns N' Roses reached out to me and said, "Can we work this out?" So in late April, I got a call from Guns N' Roses to join the band and start rehearsing the next week for a comeback tour starting out the week after. I had my first rehearsal with Guns on May 3rd. Our first show was 9 days later. So we got together in New York and we jammed. We did like 3 songs and basically got together, and it was like, all right, cool. We'll get together tomorrow night and do another 3. We jammed 7 times and hit the road, and that was basically it. Axl was really nice to me from the first time we were in a room jamming together. Axl came down to a rehearsal and jammed to the song Riyadh, and he was yelling in my ear, "This is part of the song that reminds me of Hey Bulldog from the Beatles." And I was like, yeah, you're right. Eating some burgers, and it was just totally normal. He was always good to me. The others did not want me to be in the band, and it's not me. They just didn't want a third guitar player. So he said, without saying something belittling, I wasn't thinking of it like a huge deal. I was thinking, all right, they're just another bunch of guys. We're just going to jam and go out and do some stuff and have some fun. He said it was a set of circumstances, the way I was brought into it, and the things that transpired in the beginning, and even previous relationships that I inherited. A lack of communication from management that was there, because at that time they worked it out for Robin and Richard. Then suddenly manager Merck hits them up one day and is like, and the tour was like 2 weeks away. He said, "Hey, your new guitar player is coming down." And they're like, "What the hell? Who the F is this?" So I figured we would be playing. I didn't know where we'd be playing, though. The House of Blues types places, I thought. The next thing you know, we went to Europe and festivals for 100,000 people. We were headlining. And we were like, what the hell? All right, it is what it is. I didn't really think it was that normal, but obviously I was wrong. It was an experience. I realized that they would have treated anybody badly and I showed up and they wouldn't even look at me. Even when I tried to learn the songs to start touring in the very beginning, I was first joining the band and they wouldn't even give me the music to learn. So I had to learn all the stuff on Chinese Democracy we were going to play live. I learned it with a pen and paper and headphones and on the road manager's laptop in half an hour, just writing while the band was taking a break from rehearsal in the next room. And for that first tour, I was treated like shit, absolute shit. They wouldn't really talk to me. If I spoke, they'd basically roll their eyes and walk out of the room. I was made to feel as unwelcome as possible until finally I decided I had to get a little bit violent. And then they started realizing I'm not going to leave. They're going to get hurt physically. Well, it was kind of funny, right after their last set of Vegas shows before the reunion, that's pretty much when Bumblefoot left, but it wasn't really officially acknowledged, and even in the months after his departure, he wouldn't really comment on Guns N' Roses and whether he departed from the band on good terms or not, or even whether he was even still part of the band. So in 2017, he gave a little bit more insight into what happened towards his run in Guns N' Roses. So Bumblefoot was apparently angry and bitter and frustrated when he left the band. So Tall revealed he was focusing on his solo career after spending 8 years in Guns N' Roses. He was asked by Metalwani in a new interview on how he looks back on his time with GNR. He said, "Well, how do you sum up such a big part of your life in one conversation? It was great. There was ups, there were downs, just like anything in life. There were challenges and there was some really good stuff. There was fun times and there was difficult times. But in the end, the one thing that makes me smile when I think back on it is all the fans that are now friends and staying in touch with them, and that connection that we make and being part of something that affects so many people. That was really good." He was also pressed on whether he would consider reuniting with Guns N' Roses for a show or a tour. He said, "I want to say no, but the truth is you never know what's going to happen. And let me say it this way. If somebody was going to die and the last wish was to see that happen and everybody put past their grievances aside and all of that, yeah, then basically he would like to see that happen. So Bumblefoot also elaborated a bit more. He was having difficulty balancing Guns N' Roses and his solo career. So he basically said, so I reached a point where I just needed to get out, and I didn't want to go back on that. I didn't want to regress as a human to the person I left as very unhappy. So for that reason, not for musical reasons, not for anything like that, just for that. But also still with all that said, I left angry, bitter, and frustrated and unresolved. And it didn't end in a nice way between us when I left. But even with all that, it's very easy to hold a grudge against somebody for eternity. But still in life, you can never say never. So that does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to hit the subscribe button if you love GNR as much as I do. And go check us out at gnrcentral.com for the latest and greatest Guns N' Roses news. Take care.
Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!